I'm going to go ahead and call this evening's meeting to order. Thank you all for coming and joining us. Those at home, thank you for watching. We can have the roll call, please.
Yes, we can. All right. Chair Dorsey.
President Coleman, go ahead and call this evening's meeting to order. Thank you all for coming and joining us. Those at home, thank you for watching. Roll call, please.
Yes, we can. All right. Chair Dorsey. All right, very good. Sorry about that. Chair Dorsey,
Present.
Vice Chair Michi,
Here.
Diane Foster is absent this evening. Lawrence O'Keefe, Mike Schultz,
Here.
Mike Smith,
Here.
Amanda Van Arken.
I'm here.
Very good. Chris West
Present.
and Lori Zwingli. All right, very good. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have a returning board member who is coming back to us. Yes, and we're so glad to have you. Mike Smith, I couldn't do your accolades justice. You've been such a huge part of this board for many years, and you're sorely missed, and so welcome back. I'll have you sort of introduce yourself. There's some new faces here who may not know of your
Actually, I was looking around and it's really nice to be back and see all these familiar faces. Although I gotta tell you that after I've been gone a little over a year, I would have figured that you would have figured some way to get rid of Chris by then. And I missed him. The only reason I've been allowed back is that budgets are tight and Angie didn't have to make a new. Retired, lived in Sherwood for almost 20 years now. So just doing the retired guy stuff, trying to travel more wine in the weekends. You come out tasting wine at Beacon Hill on Thanksgiving weekend, you're likely to see me. And I haven't figured out how to do the point of sale thing yet, so I'm probably going to be pouring a lot of free wine.
Well, where's Beacon Hill?
Yeah.
You can call Lori.
I just got back from a solo cross-country drive back and forth across country, so like back, it's not quite. We're very happy to be back.
Why did you do a solo cross-country drive?
Because I'm solo.
Okay. We'll just leave it.
Well, thank you for, again, coming back to us, and the contributions that I know you will make to this board are special. So thank you very much. All right, approval of October meeting minutes. Has everyone looked over them? Do we have any action corrections?
Second.
All right, we have a motion to approve October's meeting minutes as written and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Hearing none, the meeting minutes will be accepted as they are presented, and I will give that to you.
Yes, yeah.
Citizen comments. Okay.
No citizen comments tonight.
Okay, and board member announcements. I have no major announcements apart from, again, our returning board member, Mike Smith. I think that there was a mention of a email that came in.
Yes. From a citizen resident, they wanted to talk about our honorable intention for the planned hide and seek cop event. And I believe the chief responded. I responded to her email individually and just said, thank you for I appreciated her comments in support of the police. I don't know if there's any further discussion on new ideas for hide and seek, because at the last meeting, we had talked about how excited everybody was for it, and then it was like, I think it was 3 days later after our meeting that the news story broke, and then it just, boom, it just kind of got shut down. And I want to thank the chief and all the staff that had planned that and were ready to go ahead, and I understand that it just snowballed.
Yeah, we didn't realize it was gonna gain the kind of traction it did, positively and negatively, and, at the end of the day, just, the safety of the officers and just the unknown, potential issues that could have arisen out of that, it just wasn't worth it. One of the things that we talked about, and I'm totally open to suggestions as, we receive there, but we went 12 and older, and that kind of left, a limitless ceiling as to who could show up. So if we choose to do it, maybe in the future, we would probably do 12 and younger. That way we have much more control who shows up. I mean, at that,
Yeah.
hindsight's always 20/20 in these things, and, having the ability to shut things off, and control the people that could participate if we choose to go down that route again. Ironically enough, the day that we were shutting this down, we were getting inquiries from other agencies on how to put it together. And we're just like, oh, God.
Just don't.
Yeah. It was an idea that came from some other agencies that Paul had found, and so they found success in it. And again, I still don't think it's a bad thing to do, maybe just in a different realm or with some different parameters. That being said, we're also just trying to be creative with any kind of fun engagement with the community. And so if you guys have any really cool wazoo ideas or seeing things out there, I know Chris is the idea guy. So
I'm so creative. That resident did,
I've got an idea.
okay.
We've got the drones. We can put some candy in a bucket. These drones can fly around, sort of like they did at the Coliseum back in the day with dropping the cards out of the little floating and can drop candy on the street. I mean, well, not in the street, but running. But I don't know, maybe yards, I don't know. Maybe okay.
It's funny you say that, 'cause I'm just going through my 107 class right now, and they talk about flying over people and dropping things. And I don't know if we can do that. So. I like the idea.
It can come down in a bucket. It could be like a, little string and then bring the bucket down to the ground.
Oh, yeah, here we go. Yank the drone out of the air. I can see that.
Got the police foundation to buy a couple more.
Yeah.
the resident that wrote that email, actually mentioned a couple of good ideas. I thought that were worth mentioning at the meeting is geared towards like younger kids, like the chief said, and maybe, clues could be handed out regarding safety, security, physical health, mental health, or a crimey community issue. And the children were encouraged to seek out police for like a safety clue. They go to a certain place or be an officer with a clue or a prize for them. I think we just need more work, for the right audience and,
More like a scavenger hunt type thing, like a clue-based scavenger hunt, public safety focused.
We could steal from Pirates of Pinehurst ideas.
yes.
They put-
Going
Yeah, they hide their coins out there.
Well, Eric, did you have any, we can just start with you and go.
No, that was all I had. I'm sorry.
Real quick, while we're on that, I'm just curious, when one of those emails comes to the Address Police Board at Sherwood, it goes to all of us, it goes to you or someone at the department,
I think it goes for both Angie and I.
It goes to both.
and you, and then us.
I didn't see that one, but maybe.
Okay, yeah, I saw that one.
You too.
Okay, just curious what the distribution list is.
Did we not respond to those emails?
I think it's.
Just don't respond all,
But you can always respond individually.
Yep. Just individually.
Okay, very good.
Now, when you respond, are you speaking for the board or for yourself?
Just for myself.
Or yourself, you know, into the board. Mike?
Nothing to report.
Yes. I got nothing.
What?
Quick, next.
I guess I got some.
And congratulations.
I do have a new grandson, Connor John, which he arrived Friday morning, but 6 days ago. So, Mom and he are doing great. Little sister, the big sister is not totally sure about all this. So, I do have something to share. I was at the Portland Chamber with for a meeting for the Government Affairs Committee that I sit on, and Portland Chief Day was there. And he was talking about his new initiative to hire a bunch of new officers. Wants to get to 1,000 in a couple of years. And they're at like 6.5 or 7 right now. But he was wearing a body cam. And so I asked him about it, you know, how that was going, how they were dealing with it, since they were pretty much the last in the state of any size department to do it. And he talked a little bit about the process of when they can look at it with regards to use of force and before doing the reports, unless there was a certain threshold where they couldn't till they were represented with an attorney and stuff like that. But that was interesting. But the most important thing, and I guess this is to you, Chief, he said his biggest problem is accidentally turning it on. And then he has to do a mini report because every time it's activated, they have to, in their system, document that it came on. And he has the misfortune of turning it on by accident. So I'm not sure how often he should.
So we don't write a report every time it's activated. It's if you take a report. So let me back up. Anytime we're in contact with anybody in the public, it's on. So traffic stop, call for service. We get out and engage with somebody in the community because we're interested in what they're doing. We'll turn it on. It doesn't automatically trigger a report. So a report would be, you know, we're taking a theft report or domestic violence kind of report. Traffic stop doesn't require a report because if we issue a citation, we'll put notes in the call. What happens at the end of the shift is they go in and they'll tag all of their encounters. So they'll tag whether they wrote a report, wrote a citation, or just mere community contact is what it's called. So by that, we have, well, so then it dumps or it uploads. And then if it's an event that didn't have a tag, then it has a statute limitations on it. I think it's 6 months for a traffic stop. So that's under 6 months, I believe it. And then it's dumped. But then it obviously reports stay in our system for quite some time. But yeah, not to that extreme. That would be very, very difficult.
Yeah, he said we have to document every time it goes on, and I'm saying this time I accidentally turned it on, you know, just documenting those little sorts of things.
I wonder because they're fairly new with cameras, right?
Yeah, they're really new. I don't know who they went with, but I mean, the interesting thing about that is we can't delete anything off of ours. We have no ability to, so it's there. So, you know, it goes in and it's captured and if somebody wanted to go through and do an audit, which I'm assuming they probably have some kind of
And that may be why they have to document it, because everything's on there, so.
something, kind of
Like they're
committee of sorts.
kind of stricter policies or.
Yeah, because I don't know if they're still under the DOJ.
They still are under their settlement agreement, so.
That might drive some of that.
Yeah, the other thing he admitted right up front, when he was talking about his goals for staffing, that he had just. What's the right word? Stolen is not the right word. He had just acquired 2 officers from Tigard,
Yes.
and Jamie was not happy.
No, they do, so they do cross over quite a bit up there off of Barber. So they're always kind of back and forth helping each other out. And so I suspect somebody who's worked in that area a little more and just decided they wanted to go work for Portland.
So. But I did run into one of your officers on
I get a car.
day, no,
Oh,
sorry.
Don't hurt our cars. We can't replace them.
In King City, teaming up with a Tigard officer during pre-election just to staff up.
Yeah, so we did, we have 2 members on our mobile field force. It's the Washington County team, so members from all the agencies that come together and they prepped and were ready for November 5th, 6th election issues and or, any kind of issue that may arise. But so we had 2 that were up and out and around and it probably was one of those, maybe Ramos might have been who you ran into.
I can't remember.
Okay.
And were there any election?
No, we didn't.
It was pretty quiet, I thought.
Yeah, it was nice. I mean, for those that didn't know, we had officers there all day on election day. An officer because we only have the one ballot box over there at City Hall and just to help put people's minds at ease.
And that's where I ran into him, was at the King City, because I work right across the street, and so I just took him over there in the afternoon before him.
Yeah, they had teams just stationed all over, and then if they had to, they would mobilize to wherever they need to go. But it was quiet, so we were thankful for that. Because I don't know if you remember that night, Seattle kicked things off. There was some.
This year?
Yeah,
Well, I'm hearing.
yeah. But nothing seemed to, I don't know how Portland ended up.
They were all ordered up.
Yeah.
Ordered up windows.
Yeah,
They had a huge presence and they announced that they were gonna be out there. They were patrolling and they were out. There was nothing really. I mean, one small group in Pioneer Courthouse Square, but they did everything, followed all the rules and nobody was in trouble.
Good.
good.
Okay.
Well, I did have some.
Okay.
Oh, thanks. Sorry.
Well, I've been gone for years, so of course I've got stuff. But if any of the questions I have happen to be on the topic that's already been put to bed, et cetera, I'm happy to catch up offline sometime later. But first of all, delighted to see the speed radar sign on Lat Hill Road. Love that. I was there all the time. Secondly, I love Crime Chronicles. I don't know whether this was the genesis or not, but there's on YouTube, there's one called Fridays with Frank. And it's a guy with the Pinell County Sheriff's Department in Arizona. Kind of the same stuff.
I've seen those.
Yeah. Although they allow Frank to get a little bit more, more online with his personal opinions, et cetera, as opposed to everything I've seen with our folks. They're just really professional, et cetera, but, love Crime Chronicles. From the minutes of last meeting, the, question regarding the aromas and the nuisance.
With the marijuana?
Yeah. Okay. The reason I ask is I just read in the newspaper that the city of Portland did away with their aroma nuisance stuff. for fear of lawsuits and company or little businesses were being put out of business because of the fines that they were getting, and the city decided to do away with it because aromas are so subjective. And is there any concerns along those lines?
You know, the only time this has ever come up for us is marijuana related, when it's, I can remember some condos, you know, they had that common wall and people were growing it and it was pretty overwhelming for the neighbors and then this one was pretty overwhelming for the neighbors. So it wasn't I guess to answer your question, I'm not concerned about what we've had to deal with so far. I don't think anybody else really calls in about other annoying odors as of late. And we can defend it because there is a criminal component sometimes to that. I mean, when it gets so strong, you're probably exceeding the 4 adult rule and some of those things. It's not the guy sitting out on the back patio smoking his joint. Now, people can call in on that. I mean, we've had that where they're not happy with their neighbors smoking the marijuana, but for us, it's been the larger marijuana issues. I can't think of any other areas, but to your point, yes, I mean, that is kind of subjective with aroma and cooking, or, you know, somebody could say, I'm just a cook in my house and doing this and getting penalized or fined.
In Portland, the issue they had was with restaurants.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
Vietnamese restaurant and after the threshold was really low for a complaint and inspection and stuff, and they shut down this restaurant. Or the restaurant shut down because they couldn't justify spending $40,000 on the kind of filter that, and they've changed the threshold and the number of reports before they take action, and you have to live within a certain distance. So they haven't done totally away with it, but they've changed the threshold so that you can't just be a nuisance to a business that
Yeah.
you
I
think.
understand they were getting like complaints from one person that repeatedly. Yeah. Another question I had was, and again, this is one of those ones that may have been put to bed, Citizens Academy.
Thanks, Mike.
We've tried, last time we tried, I think, what do we have, Kim, like 5 or 6?
Yeah.
It's, we've talked about it, just trying to drum up enough interest so that we have, 12, 15 people that, I think we gave it two tries. We just, it's not gone by any means, we just need to figure out how we can promote it a little better and see if we can get, some people here.
And then the last thing, and I read this in meeting minutes as a possibility of the traffic safety committee becoming a standalone committee. Any movement on that?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I had a meeting today on it. There is talk, so that's, I know it's been brought up, and this is a council directed kind of decision, but I know it's been brought up in conversations with them. And there's a lot of activity with the traffic safety committee and just their role, and obviously, Richard's been going, how long you been there?
Like just over a year. I think.
So yeah, they've been busy, so, to answer your question, there is that possibility that it will go ahead and be its own thing. It's, like I said, right now it's under an ordinance, and so it needs to move to city council, and, they're gonna have to discuss it and vote on it. I'm assuming, I don't know how you pull it out of an ordinance into a committee, but
You just revise the ordinance, so it's a standalone committee. So right now, under the ordinance, it's under Police
Us,
Advisory
yeah.
Board. It'll just now become one of the boards and commissions separately. And it just makes sense. They do a lot of work. It just makes sense that not really any need for them to run through police. It's not like they bring recommendation to Police Advisory Board and then you guys bring it to council. So at the time we created it, we weren't sure how it's gonna work, right? So now that it's been through for a couple of years, it just makes sense that they are now an advisory board of council. This is what.
yeah. Okay.
And I have nothing
Oh, that's right, you didn't have traffic safety for me.
No, we did.
Oh,
Question.
Not
oh, that's right, I forgot.
the other man.
Oh, Amanda. Amanda?
Hi there. I did have one question. Somebody asked me with regards to the recent measure on the ballot for city council to be able to use their travel rewards. What travel is city council doing?
Not a lot of travel. I know once a year, several of us go to a conference, a League of Oregon Cities conference, which is open to all elected officials in the state of Oregon. So this year it was in Bend, next year it's in Portland. So there's that. And we typically don't even use our own credit cards, but on occasion, like one time we got to one of our conferences and for some reason there was a problem. The city credit card, the signature wasn't on file or something. So like we put it on our own. And there's just really no credit cards that don't have rewards anymore. And so the Oregon Ethics Committee had determined that that is a form of compensation that I got, 20 reward points or whoever. And our charter says city councilors are to receive no compensation. So we just wanted to correct it so that there's not the off chance that we could be violating Oregon ethics law by accident, even by swiping your card, for a meal to get reimbursed or whatever. So to answer your question about travel, so that our mayor goes to DC, once or twice a year, maybe lobbying. And by the way, over the last couple of years, that's brought $14 million back to our city. So just but for the most part, there's zero travel. I mean, we can get reimbursed for our mileage. If we go to meetings, most of us, you could probably pull an expense report and I bet nobody turns anything in.
Okay, thanks. And then I saw on one of the community forums, some people talking about a lot of streetlights being out. And there's a pretty easy way on PGE. If the streetlight has a tag on the bottom of it, you can report that tag to PGE through a form and they will fix that. So especially with it getting darker earlier, it's almost dark now when kids are getting out of school. If anyone sees those, it would be great to have that sent to PGE. And that was all I had.
Amanda, that is some good information to have. I'm writing that down.
Are the streetlights all PG owned? The city doesn't
No,
own any?
some PGE, some are city, some are PGE, so.
If we see like a broken globe, is that something we'd report to the city or PG if they own it? Do they just own the light bulbs and do you guys own the?
I'm unsure of which goes to which, but if you call the city's public works, they will either report it to PGE or tell you that's a PGE one and tell you how to report it. But so the best bet, you can always tell the city.
Yeah, sometimes they call us and we'll do just what Amanda said. We'll run out and check the tag. If it's a PGE tag, then call, but not that we want to go run around and look for lights, but we will.
So Chief, I saw on the police, well, I saw somewhere on social media that the person who was responsible for the hit and run of the man and his dog had been identified and was going to go to grand jury. Is there any update on that?
You summed it up perfectly.
Okay.
That is where we're at. Yeah, it's grand jury has not happened yet.
Do you know when that will happen?
I suspect in the next week. They're usually pretty quick.
Okay.
Yeah. And then there'll be a press release forthcoming on that.
I appreciate if our community lets the police put that information out and not try to put out inaccurate names.
Yeah. Did they name people?
I didn't see it.
There was one on the community page that they pulled a different they pulled a different person that same day and it.
Different?
Yeah,
Really?
whoever responds under the police Facebook account. Let them know that was not an accurate person.
Oh, good.
And then I think that moderator took the post down.
Oh, good.
I try to keep up, but some like on those, I just can't. Because once it goes from our page to the 2 or 3 other community pages, you're just like. All right, so that's that wildfire out of control.
Right, so we will move on to the business if there are no other comments, questions. December 3rd, city council work session. Our goals and objectives are to be presented. Boards and commissions will share priorities and provide updates. And myself and Richard are going to be going, and if it's in the same small room it was in before, last time it was just me, it's gonna get tight in that conference room with everybody coming.
You know, and you bring up a great point, Brian. We could probably talk about moving it out
To the
to the council. I mean, that, because I remember last year was really jam packed. I don't know if we can.
That'd be tough, because we'd have to set tables up out there and then go into a council meeting right after that.
Do we have to have tables? Could we just have chairs?
I mean, I suppose we could have just the chairs that are out there.
Because a lot of them already sit in chairs just along the walls there. I mean, I don't know, you're right. I mean, it did, now that you say that, it was pretty cramped in there last year.
With the food along the back and the
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, because we get department heads in there too. That's a good point. We should probably bring that up.
Maybe we can have a discussion about that. I don't know. But yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah. So we would like to start having that conversation, because of course we're in November and we won't have another meeting prior to that time. So we'll talk on that tonight. We wanted to also, in conjunction with that, go over just and this was Richard who brought this up, and I let you talk with me, like, the goals and the chart.
The bylaws.
The bylaws. Yeah.
Right, I brought that up in an email to Brian. Basically, I said that for some of us who've been on here a while and maybe you haven't looked over the bylaws recently, some of us are newer members and maybe haven't even actually read them. Who knows, but it's like as we're approaching the end of the year, it might be a good time for some reflection to kind of make sure that we are doing what we should be doing, what we're tasked with doing as a board. And then more importantly, I also was kind of curious to get feedback back from the city. You know, are we meeting the expectations that, you know, you guys are wanting to see from a board like us? So to kind of phrase it as that, maybe we should revisit the bylaws, just make sure everyone's current on it and we kind of discuss it. And Brian said, yep, we can use that to frame our goals and objectives for the next year.
Yeah, I like it.
Everyone is okay with that. We can get into that now so that me and Richard can go in there prepared. I did not bring my laptop tonight. I normally do to have the bylaws in front of me.
Then I didn't know we were talking about it tonight, so I didn't bring
Okay.
all the stuff.
I'm sorry about that, Angie. That was we were talking about it.
I thought we were doing that next time. But yeah, that makes sense that you might do that.
I don't have a copy of them either. You got my phone?
On my phone.
On the city website.
Dig them up here. Oh, I can't cast them. We're not in my office.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what we can do is let's talk through some of the goals and objectives. I think last time we were able to have approval to just bring them up as goals and objectives instead of a SWOT. Strength, weakness.
Yeah, we're not doing the SWOT anymore, so basically what we want to do is like have a conversation with each, with all the boards and commissions, and if there's anything that your board thinks is pressing that should be considered when we have our goal setting session, I think it's January 10th, as I said, as city council. We want to make sure that we're including those goals where we can, or that our goals are lining with your goals, or there's boards and commissions that aren't like out here doing their own thing when the council goals are here, type thing, so.
Well, if anyone wants to start off with a goal or two that they think would be a good launching point for discussion.
You're looking at me, okay.
Kind of hard on the fly, huh?
I'll go first. I don't know if it's a goal. It was something I was thinking about as I was driving by. If we make, driving by the big user board there on 99, coming to the meeting, and we thought, maybe we need to make our board meetings, like either announce them on the community webpage. I know that the city page does that, but maybe if we announce it on the city webpage or traffic safety. I don't know, it might be like blowing up the hide and seek thing, you know. You might have 100 people show up, but it would, as much as it hurts me to say that, it would involve the community a little bit more and give them the opportunity. Oh, you know what? There's a police advisory board meeting. We could go there and talk about this tonight and give more citizen input. Rather than just the comments from social media that come up and.
And I think that ties directly in with the goal that city council has and will continue having. It's something we'll be working on, is how to better communicate with our citizens. So that would probably be a great thing to bring up, because that would align directly with.
So broaden the community awareness of, I said, of our PAB meetings. But to your point, we say broaden the community awareness of the civic meetings and activities in the community. You're welcome.
So I pulled up on the website, the duties and responsibilities of the board as specified. And the first one is assist the police department in establishing, one, priorities for delivery of police services, including types, levels, and quality of police services. Two, department strategic plan and goals. Three, recommended strategies for the future. And four, public policy on policing. Second item is seek opportunities to educate the community about police work and the purpose of law enforcement. Next is be a component of the Sherwood community with the goal of promoting public safety. We used to do a lot more of that kind of stuff. Establish and maintain, coordinate and cooperative working relationships between residents, the business community, faith community, youth population, schools, other agencies, and the Sherwood Police Department. That's that whole liaison sort of. And finally, invite and encourage public input regarding the above and advise the chief of police on the above matters and make recommendations to the council when appropriate. So I'm sure that's pretty much what the bylaws say. I'm sure that's where it's coming from, or from the ordinance.
I can't find the bylaws. I'm not quite sure.
So one thing that we've been doing here, we started it with Jeff, and that was starting to review, and we've changed the way we do it, but reviewing the updated standards and stuff. And I still think that's a really important role and should be one of our objectives, because it's a way for us to understand and validate and discuss anything, especially if it's somewhat possibly controversial, like when we were discussing some of the uses of force and chemical stuff. So I think that still should be, for me, that's, I think, an important role that we've started doing over the last 4 or 5 years that we should continue to have as a priority.
I think it's great. It's kind of a good bookend, because we are an accredited department. And it speaks to all of those things, how we train, all these standards that we have to meet with use of force, how we, how we drive, all the things. And then to have a bookend with just you guys understanding that as well, I think is really good. And so that when we go out into the public and are doing our job, you guys kind of have a understanding of it. Because one of the things is obviously to be a conduit to the community for us, so that when they're asking or questioning why we do things, you have the tools to say, well, this is what it is. Because I think, as Counselor Young said earlier, social media can spread things pretty quickly. And not that we can always control that, but it's just having your voice out there is beneficial.
So as far as how we would word that as one of our goals, I had put, one of the things you mentioned, seek opportunities to promote public safety amongst schools, faith communities, and
Those are between residents, business, community, faith community, youth, population, schools, and other agencies.
Everyone?
Yeah, it's.
for reviewing and validating the new policies.
Yeah, when I look at this list, it's kind of in the first chunk that the assist the police department in establishing, and we had priorities that included police services types, levels, quality. This really is a sub bullet in that. I think that we don't have that if there's an opportunity to change or make an addition to the charter, we just identify as the goal is to help review and recommend to the city council updates and changes to, is it handbook or what do you call that?
Policies.
Yeah,
Yeah, police policies.
police policies.
I think this board's a little fortunate because I think any goals you have automatically fall under one of the city council goals, because one of our goals, one of our pillars is public safety. So like you guys already align with one of our main pillars.
So when I look back at once we got past the marijuana, which was our first big challenge for those of us who've been here for a long time. It was really staffing.
Yeah, we want your department to look like.
Yeah, and so I guess, and we were looking at budgets, we had the whole controversy over Washington County picking up, the graveyard shift stuff. But we, in the last couple of years, really, you've informed us on your goals and objectives for staffing and stuff, but we haven't dug in like we did in the past. And just thinking out loud and ahead, if there's financial challenges in the future because of staffing needs, there's always fees or levy or whatever that are the options that you have. We as a board are gonna have to help vet a bunch of that stuff and be the conduit to reach out to the public to see. But I don't know where we're at. We've talked about it off and on, but we haven't talked about it in the last year or so. And I guess I'm asking, is there gonna be something in the next year regarding staffing and funding that we're gonna have to take on?
I like how you opened that door for me. Thank you. Yes. We didn't even talk beforehand. And we'll get to it tonight, but this is one of the first steps. You're gonna see the packet that I gave you about MHRT and our response and what that means. I really want to start building the portfolio of who we are and what we're doing and the impact it has out there. You're right. Budget is always going to be a challenge, always has, always will be. And it's just for us to be creative in how we go about securing more funds. I mean, there's not gonna be a chief out there that says that they have enough cops. So I get that. And I also, I'm mindful of the fact that we have to be reasonable in our asks and what that means and what that looks like. But what I know now is the time it takes to get cops through the door. What I need in 3 years, I need to start working right now. And that's the challenge of, okay, well, what's that gonna look like? Where are we gonna be at in our budget? I take up nearly close to 40% of the general fund. And that's at the rate I'm going, what that does is that squeezes other departments out, or that squeezes us out, and that's not fair either, because everybody, I don't function without public works, I don't function without IT, I don't function without all of the department heads, coming together and making things work. So we've talked about levies and fees, and I know I've said it before, we're the only agency in the metro area that does not have a levy and or a fee. And so we're gonna just have to be creative and figuring out what exactly that's gonna look like. That doesn't even account for if in fact Sherwood West does come in down the road.
Bring up, because we talked about that years ago, when we were in the first go rounds and talked about Sherwood West and how many years out we'd have to plan before money started coming in from that, and when you've got your recruiting and training 3-year time frame, and then there's delay in when the money comes from the new development, it's gonna be a challenge.
You're right. I mean, we know that development for Sherwood West, if it does in fact come to fruition, is 5 to 10 years out, in all likeliness. But correct me if I'm wrong, once that's approved, does that come into the city? Because as it stands now, we become responsible for that UGB.
It's not annexed yet into the city. It's still in the urban growth. It's now in the urban growth boundary. It's taken from the urban reserves into the urban growth boundary. And then we start our comprehensive planning process before any annexation into the city. So when it's in the UGB, are you responsible?
So if it's in the UGB, we wouldn't be. So we have some time.
Yeah.
If this thing is all
Right.
approved.
Yeah.
Before the annexation comes.
Right, like the high school is currently annexed, so yeah, also. The first properties maybe to get developed might be that big industrial, the 250 acre areas, it would be our high priority, because.
Roy Rogers.
Yeah,
So that if we're looking at goals for the committee, I guess I'm looking for some futuring of what you see is coming down the pike, and that's staffing has always been there, but are we at some crescendo type spot where we've got to really deal with stuff, or it's?
Yeah, unfortunately, and, Larry and, we got together, how long ago was that? 8, 9 months? July. The 3 of us had gotten together to kind of talk about some of that strategy and really, I'm always feeling like I'm chasing my tail a bit because we're trying to catch up just to get up to speed, just to get to staffing levels now. And now we're on the cusp of, okay, well, I know I have 2 pending retirements in 2025. I know that things are going to be happening. So I'm like trying to just continue to fill those spots and the retention component of it. So that all being said, I can't ignore what's coming and where we need to get to. And so I'm all in about developing a plan, so what we're going to look like in 3 to 5, 7, 10 years. I think we need to have that incrementally marked out as to kind of where we want to be. And there again, that's why I have some information for you tonight to just kind of start building on that thought process and where we're at with personnel. And I've said it before and I'll continue to say it, it's the double-edged sword of technology. Now, we need it. The community demands it now with body worn cameras, with all the, AI's coming, we have the drones, we have a lot of cool things, but they aren't cheap. And so all of a sudden now you're saying, well, a body or, a CRM that is going to help us or is it going to be, the next iteration of tasers, the taser 10s, and it's interesting times. I think we're in a good spot. So I appreciate you bringing that up, Chris, because I think we need to kind of dig in and get to work. It doesn't even address just all the traffic issues that are out there and all the technology that comes with that. I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff out there, but that takes people. Even our beloved photo red light cameras and speed cameras, it takes people. I mean, we have nearly, Sabrina probably spends 50% of her time in that.
A good amount, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and that was never her job, and plus we have Kenny on the back end and the officer, so, yeah.
I have a question for you, I think. So I think education is going to be a huge issue here, a huge thing that we need to do for the public because it's November. And whoever came up with timing on this, I would like to have a conversation with them, but I just have to pay my tax bill, my property tax bill. And I get really frustrated when I see it going up and up every year. And it's gotten.
Why is this question to me?
Yeah, because what I want to know is all of this building that we're doing here, all of this business that we are supposedly bringing in. What kind of offset is that going to give us as taxpayers? What kind of money is coming in that's going to help with all of these things? Are our taxes going to keep going up and up and up? Or
Well,
is
the
this
only
building
part
that
of
we're
your
doing going-
bill the only part of your bill that goes up, that the city has any control over, I mean, we don't even have control over, is the 3%. The rest of your bill is school district, fire, I mean, all that, but the 3%, that's that your assessed value, that 3%, then that's the city, part of that's the city portion for property taxes. So the city's not gonna impose any more taxes because of all this stuff. Your taxes aren't gonna go up because of anything the city's doing, unless we were to do a levy or something.
Well, they're not gonna go down.
They're not gonna go down
By
either.
new businesses coming in and.
So I get the bill, I pay the bill. I really don't have a head for finances. I have a finance person for all of that stuff.
Right on the side of it, it tells you everything, how it's broke up.
Yes, I understand, but who's responsible? Like you said, the school district.
Mhm.
So that's we as the voters saying, yes, school
Correct.
district, we're going to give you.
The school district has a bond and a levy right now that the
Okay.
voters have voted
And
on.
the base, because
And
there's
the
3
base.
lines.
Yeah. So that one is voted on. TVFNR, something you voted on. Library, something you voted on. The only one that's not voted on is the property tax, the 3%, and that's capped due to Prop 50, 55, I don't know,
Yeah.
years ago that
53.
yeah, something, so that the city can't impose we can't charge our citizens more taxes unless you vote on a levy
So
or a
that's why,
bond or.
unless they gave developers a incentive by reducing or waiving taxes for a period of time, like happens in some communities, there's gonna be an assessed value for those new light industrial stuff that's been put into the city. And we'll get whatever the rate is. I don't know if it's.
So the businesses that come in theoretically are cheaper to service because they're closed during the night, the police, you know, they don't cost as much for us to service those. And it allows more money to the general fund, which would keep us hopefully from having to have extra fees and extra levies and things like that.
Urban renewal districts affect that also, right?
The urban renewal district, tax increment financing. I'm not it. I am not a professional in that, but basically that freezes the tax rate for our taxing districts. So the city, school district, fire, with one more, and I can't remember what it is. Anyways, so it freezes theirs. And so for the history of that URA, whether it's 30 years, 20 years, those agencies have agreed that they get frozen at this level. And then as each year as the 3% or the tax increases, that amount can go into the URA. And then that helps fund and build projects within the city. That's my very basic limited of tax increment financing.
You said all of the funding comes from the general fund?
For the police department, yes.
Yeah. So if we needed a levy or fees, or what's the mechanism? I mean, who makes that decision? We need that. How does it get on the ballot?
That would be a lot of conversations with chief, with the police department, city manager, and city council. And city council would have to be ultimate, I think, the ultimate approver of putting it forward on a ballot.
Yeah.
Do they write it?
Ballot.
Our attorney,
Your turn.
yeah.
So we have a cap on fees in the city, so we have to take it to a vote. If we didn't have that, whenever that was implemented a number of years ago, we could have, city council could have had the authority to approve a fee, but because we have a cap, which this would exceed, it has to go to a vote, yeah, so May or November. The challenge that we have, to your point, Lori, is all these competing interests. You know, everybody is always like, timing is never good on these things because it just seems like either TVF and R's up or school's up or somebody's up. And so we're gonna have to get creative on that. And to go out in May, I believe our charter says we have to have 50% or better response for it to be approved. So we always know May elections are pretty bleak. So then it becomes a marketing campaign of can we do it if that's.
We barely got 50% in the November election, and now the big election.
Just 2 weeks ago election? Oh, wow.
County was at 70 something, barely.
So that's a big conversation.
Yep.
That I know is on Chief's mind all the time. And
You're already up here.
Are you saying that 50% of registered voters here in Sherwood voted? Or just voted on our particular, the
No.
things that were specific to Sherwood?
I guess voted on, well,
Turnout.
the turnout for that turned in ballots. So like, I think we have 14,000 something and a little, barely 8,000 voted. So maybe a little over 50%.
And the problem is with the ballot measure that was, or I don't know if it's called a ballot measure, whatever Sherwood passed 8 or 9 years ago requires 50% turnout to approve, 50% or greater to approve a fee.
Greater than 2%, a new fee or a fee increase greater than 2%.
Yeah.
So
And the charter committee.
Oh, you know
talked
what?
about
I gotta correct that, because after the new results came out last Friday, we have 14,397 registered voters and actually 11,440. So that's probably
Yes.
75.
Oh, that's
Much better.
Yes.
Sorry.
The county was in the low 70s.
Yeah, you know what it was I was looking at is the mayoral vote was only like 7,800 participated. So that's what I was looking at.
I would be curious to find out what the total, it's real telling, the total on the charter. How many people voted and what the undervote was, because that's the kind of undervote potentially would get with a fee or a levy too. So.
I don't even know where we were at, but.
We're trying to, oh, that's right. Speaking of goals, I got 5 down.
I mean, you have to think, there are boards and commissions all gonna bring goals, so like, I would probably anticipate one or two, like,
Okay,
Yeah.
like sort of, you know.
can it be one with multiple bullet points? Just.
I mean, and if you wanna even type them up and bring them
Yeah.
to give to us too, so,
Okay.
you know. And it doesn't also mean if something comes up between now and our goal setting January 10th, this board can send an email through Angie or, yeah.
So let's go that route.
One thing I wanted to say, I kind of touched on what Larry brought up and also talking about staffing. Our social media has been great, and that's been awesome for community engagement. If that hadn't been a goal of our board, it definitely is one that we've met now.
For sure.
It's been great.
Was.
I've been getting the weekly city updates from Greg, and there's usually information there, which is, it's pretty helpful. It's pretty useful just to know what's happening in the city. And it got me thinking that we should have some sort of mechanism. It doesn't necessarily need to be social media, maybe even just on the website, but kind of posting some accolades. Things like retirements are coming up. This last year, we got a bunch of street barricade things. It's like, no big deal. It's not worthy of like a big social media blast, but we should put it out there because it kind of shows what's happening, what we're working on behind the scenes. And it's also kind of seeding the idea of, hey, we just got some drones. And by the way, these things are expensive. And then down the road, when it comes time to say, we use 40% general fund and things are expensive, all the stuff that we've been incorporating into our department, needs to get paid for. So it just might kind of help tell the whole story. So maybe that could kind of be a goal of social media or just newsletter communication, just outbound, expressing our accolades and accomplishments in the department.
And along those lines and looking down to the future and potential year levy, I was thinking, Chief, when you were talking about all the equipments and stuff that you outfit our officers with, that there's a great opportunity for a video that just goes through all the different components that you guys are carrying and how they're connected and why you carry them and stuff like that, because I'm exposed to it because of this board. But the general public, when they see the videos on the Chronicles and they're sort of seeing the equipment, but to do maybe a couple going through and what's in the vehicles and stuff, so people understand what a professional department we have and the tools that you guys have at your disposal. I think that would be something that would be
a nice show.
Yeah.
Inventory, all the stuff that a police officer carries on them, just on their self, and then in the trunk of their car, it's like.
Yeah, but then
prepared for anything.
I think you also need to have the educational piece that tells the public why we need that.
right.
Because most people here in Sherwood don't understand everything that goes on in Sherwood. They think it's a sleepy little town, but it's really not.
When they hear drones, and they think, one things.
Yeah, why do we need?
I was just gonna do a full circle on Richard's storytelling, tell what we have and examples of how we've used them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Think of how, not to break away, but think of how important AEDs were when they became part of your guys' equipment that you came. And now the prices come down where a lot of, I was part of I think with the fire department, we carried it around and we would get buzzed if there was a CPR in progress in the area. But the police get there much faster than a fire engine. And a lot of people don't understand, why do they need an AED? They're not a paramedic, is just the understanding of the public, and that's just one tool that you guys
Yeah.
carry. And that took a lot of, I think, probably a year or two of education of why it's so important for police to have this. And now we look around and they're everywhere, right?
Yep, yeah.
And I think the other thing, thinking of the contributions that the foundation has made to key equipment could be part of it too. And that just bolsters, one, the relationship of the foundation and the community. You know, I think pointing out those contributions that, and whether it's the stuff with the canines or the shields that were purchased several years ago and those sorts of things, I think there's opportunities to really profile who you are, what you do, and what you got.
Yep.
And why you got it, and where you got it, how you got it.
Yeah, you're spot on. And I'll keep going back to even what we're gonna talk about here in just a bit is the MHRT team that we help support and just how vital it is, you know.
A lot of good stuff. Thank you all for your contributions and input into this goal and objective setting discussion. And we will move on. I know she has a lot to cover. We've got December 17th City Council work session. And that's gonna be
You and Jason.
you and Jason?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's just the traffic safety committee.
okay.
Is that,
Oh, no, I guess I'm sorry, you don't have to be at that one.
oh,
Yeah,
you're welcome to, but
yeah. Yeah, we'll let you have that now.
you want to know why we're doing that meeting? Anybody interested? So talked about the reason of bringing them to their own board and commission, but we've also just had a lot of concerns lately, and I'm sure Richard could talk to how many complaints or concerns they get about safety around our school zones. And so we just thought we'll have a work session with traffic safety committee and really just dive in. And what we've been having a lot of, the mayor and I've been having a lot of chats with the city manager, like some things are long-term because they're expensive. They're, road improvements, things like that. They've got to find money or grants or put them in the improvement plan. But what can we do more immediate that will help? Things like that. So that's why we're having a joint work session with them.
Love it. Okay.
And it's, the work sessions with the entire traffic safety committee. So I mean, Richard, you would be more than welcome to attend as the liaison.
I hadn't heard about that yet, so. Noted.
All right, and then the 19th will be our police advisory board meeting next month, and that on its usual third.
Well, I put that on there because, sorry, I probably didn't word it correctly, to see if you guys wanted to have a meeting in December.
Traditionally, we.
No, we used to have the dinner, the boards and commission dinner,
Right.
yeah.
Okay, well, let's just all vote on it real quick and see where the interest lies on it. How many are interested in holding the meeting on the 19th?
So who would we get stuck with? Which captain?
No, I said I would be here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay.
That was
Amanda, is your hand up?
I'm good either way. I can be present on the 19th or not present.
Physically present or on the hotspot? Well, since there's no hands up in the room, I'm going to assume that it would be advisable for us then to put that one off. We wouldn't have a quorum, so we will go ahead and cancel that meeting and reserve it for our next discussion for our next meeting in January.
2025.
These are tough a week before Christmas. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Unless we did White Elephant Exchange during the meeting.
That could be fun.
Is there any pressing business that we have to attend to before that we couldn't put off until January?
Not that I'm aware of.
I mean, there's always the ability to do an emergency. I'm just, I don't foresee anything, but
Okay.
we still have the ability to make something happen if needed.
Okay.
I may not be here for the January.
All right, Traffic Safety Committee update again, huge shout out and thank you to Richard. Just wonderful, and then also to, is it?
Mexico.
Okay, Larry, yeah, yes, Larry, thank you for absolutely working together closely with Richard on that, but.
Let me know if you need me to attend any of these, or you want me to attend any of these.
So, yeah, so that's actually the first thing I was gonna bring up. I think you should.
All of them.
I've said this before, but it's a lot of fun because it helps you understand the city at a much more intimate level, like ground level, like right there in the weeds with it all. So it's kind of cool to just get a much better understanding. But there is no meeting this month or next. We meet the fourth Thursday, so that's Thanksgiving. So we are not meeting. And then December 26th, so we're not meeting. So nothing again until January. This is the last update. There was a couple things. It was just, most of it was a regular meeting. We have, again, an increased workload just from that social media post during the summer that said, hey, everybody, this exists. So a bunch just keep flowing in. And it's been good to just kind of get a regular pace back now of kind of going through the process with the open, pending requests and so on. So I did bring a couple things. The first thing I brought is I did print out the I don't know what it is, the statute or whatever, this the city code about the traffic safety committee. And the part I wanted to highlight is it says the committee shall consist of 7 members. 2 of the committee members shall be members of the police advisory board selected by the board for 1-year terms, yada, yada. The remaining 5 are residents. Our last meeting, we didn't have enough people for a quorum. And this happened twice last year. One time it was canceled. And we sat around, we waited, we tried calling one of the members who had RSVP to be there. Because there's only 6 of us now, since I'm the only liaison at the moment, and we had just voted you in. That was news to them. After 20 minutes, we went on YouTube and said, we're sorry, it's canceled, there's not enough people. And then we're all packing up and standing up, and all of a sudden, one member walked through the door. So we said, okay, we're here, let's just do it. So we sat down, we did have the meeting. But it got me thinking that, again, you're newly appointed by us to attend. So, my opinion is that you should attend. I'm not the one who invites you and puts you on the agenda and so on. So however that needs to happen.
That it said that there were 2. Where was it at the time that we said you could decide one, but there was a time that 2 went?
Yeah.
I always thought it was just optional, but now reading this.
Early on, it was always 2.
Yeah.
So,
Now we got a little one.
Okay.
I guess if you're available to go,
I'll go.
I'll do that. This is going to probably change in the next couple months, I would assume that.
Within the next 6 months, you guys will be talking about standalone.
We could even still have in our ordinance possibly that 2 police advisory boards could sit on it if they chose to. I mean, there's probably something in the ordinance that says that. But if you want, I mean, we could craft it like that, or we'd open 2 spots up for 2 more citizens and you could apply. So that's, yeah.
Yeah, but it's.
Thanks for bringing that up.
It's usually only an issue if there's enough for quorum, which like I said, has happened a couple times when you have so few members and there's conflicts. And we volunteer our time, so you don't want your time to be wasted sitting around and just going home again. So anyway, so yeah, just wanted to bring that up. The other thing, I did bring a handout. Wanted to show some stuff. You can look at that hand down. You want to take that over to your side. So this is an example of the type of analysis. It's just a real quick visual for you guys just to see that takes place. There's a stretch of road called Dewey Road, which connects you from Woodhaven to a roundabout that either takes you to the middle school or to Meineke out to 99. And there was some a complaint that came in about you need speed bumps or speed cushions. Actually, I found out that's what the engineer calls them. Speed cushions and speed signs is what they asked for. So rather than us just saying, sure, that looks good, let's put speed cushions there. There needs to be analysis. So the police department put those pneumatic tubes down that you drive over and it starts counting things. And this is just a quick example of the type of data that gets captured. The tubes are out for a week. And in that week, it recorded about 20,000 cars that drove over that. Anyone who knows that road knows that it is one of the main entryways and exitways into the whole Woodhaven community, the neighborhood there. So 20,000 is a lot for such a small stretch of road, and especially a road that is a 25-mile-an-hour road with a little bend on it.
Kind of narrow too. There's not much parking.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of residents who park there, so you know there's not much that that you can do on that little stretch. You would think, but as you can see from the data that was captured, the fastest speed recorded was 38 miles an hour. That's all 25 road. You know, I said before we saw this, I go, I don't even think you can get up to speed to speed on that short of a stretch, but yes, you can. Out of the 20,000 cars that traveled over it, there's about 2,000 that, based on their speed, could have been issued a citation. So now the police enforcement rate is about 10%. So that's about a medium risk, but it's not something that should be ignored. So in talking about what we do on that stretch, we decided that there's no need for speed signs because it is residential. Everyone knows the laws. It's 25 miles an hour. If you put it there, what's to stop us from having to put it on every single residential street in Sherwood? So that's probably not going to happen. Speed bumps may not happen either, but the engineer was looking into that, looking into if there's any reason they can't be on a curve like that. You know, looking at site distances and so on, just trying to figure out if maybe that might be a possibility. But in the meantime, the biggest option that's available for the safety of that stretch of road is increased police presence, enforcement, education, that sort of thing. The patrol officer who sits in us, Officer Pierce, he was saying that you know, people going 25 down that road, it does seem fast if you're a pedestrian. You know, it seems, especially such a short road. So you know, you're within the law, but it's you know, it's hard to speed past that. So anyone who's going over that amount, he said that he would likely stop them and have a conversation with them. You're going 30 miles an hour. You wouldn't get a ticket on 99 for doing that, but he said I would pull them over and I would stop them and I would talk to them. Most people going there are residents. They're not people passing through our city like on 99. So they live here as well. They want safety as well. So that's why education needs to be such a big component of it. But, you know, basically that's just an example of one of the streets that, you know, we're currently talking about saying, what can we do to improve it and give the perception that it's a safer street. It's not as fast as people tend to go on it. And it's just interesting to see kind of the analysis, what it actually looks like, and realize that yeah, you know, 2,000 cars in a 1 week period could have received a ticket technically.
I go through that street just about every day, and I said the day that makes me the most nervous is garbage collection day.
Yeah.
Because when all the cans are out there and you're going around that bend, if you have to go out and around, you can't see what's coming.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's.
Yeah,
You know, if the study gave timeline breakdowns on these?
no, it didn't. It's just a counter.
Okay.
So, yeah. But it was out there 24/7
Yeah.
during that 1 week period.
I know we have a way to track hours too, so I was curious. I haven't seen this before, so I was like, this is cool, but I was just curious if we could capture. For us, our challenge is when, right?
Mhm.
I mean, you know, because everybody wants us to be everywhere all the time. And so for us to figure out, okay, well, when are we going to make the biggest impact? Is it 7 in the morning? Is it 4 in the afternoon? This 38, I would suspect is probably in the middle of the night
Yeah.
kind of thing.
And PM or later.
Typically when we see those high end ones on a lot of those tubes. Not to say that it couldn't have been early, but it just, most likely it's somebody coming.
Yeah, around the school hours, it's not gonna make a difference because there's so much traffic going to the middle school and trying to get out, it's pretty slow.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the same argument with Archer Glen, is there's so much congestion during drop off and pickup that people don't speed. But then outside of those hours, even 10 a.m. while all the kids are in session, that's when people are complaining that they were almost hitting a crosswalk or whatnot.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, quick question, Frank. I remember back in the day when Chris and I were on the committee and we were recommending speed bumps. And DDF and I were just, I remember they came in and gave a presentation, they shall not happen, we do not want speed bumps. Has that attitude changed?
No, that seems to still be the attitude, is they don't like speed bumps.
I was gonna bring up something,
If that's the main route, there's.
being a professional driver for many years, speed bumps. There are emergency vehicle friendly speed bumps, so rather than a speed bump that comes straight across, it jolts everybody in the fire engine, especially guys in backseat, because the driver's got an air cushion seat. But the ones that have like two big islands there, that an emergency vehicle, ambulance, or fire engine can straddle that. The little rice grinder or little cars that like to go fast, they can't straddle that. And so they have to slow down for that. And that's a much more emergency friendly response vehicle solution. I mean, I drive that road, and as you were talking, I stay away from that road on Fridays, Thursday nights and Fridays. I don't go near that place because all the garbage cans, you can't get a truck and a car going by at the same time. I don't know what the solution for that.
Yeah, it's such a small stretch, it's like there aren't a lot of options, but to answer your question, the speed bumps it seems to be kind of a last resort. I will mention that the city would rather put up a sign, a speed sign or a no parking sign versus painting it or laying down a speed bump and paint it, just because paint has maintenance and the sign doesn't. So it's more expensive to maintain, some of these other options. So it's kind of like that's another, strike against it, why it's like, not our first option to go that route. And then also, speed bumps, the grade of the road, if it's on any kind of a hill, prohibits them. This one, the question is because of the curve, the corner there, the liability of if you put a speed bump in, if someone hits it and they go off into that's property, there could be issues there or whatnot. So it's not a no, it's being looked into, but it doesn't seem peaceful. It seems more like, let's make sure the officers are aware to keep this road in their route. That's all I have.
Thank you for that. That's good.
Thank you. All right, counselor news. First of all, congratulations on your reappointment to the council.
It was the first time I ran unopposed in all 3 of my elections, so I was okay to have my final term be just a little bit easier.
Are you term limited or is it
Yeah.
like
Term limited.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's been my last term. I believe it's maybe it's Renee's last term as well. So yeah, the mayor reelected, the 3 incumbent councilors will all continue, which is great. We have a really good council right now that's doing a lot of good things. Today, Sherwood West, today was the first public hearing at Metro, discussing your UGB West expansion request. I listened to mainly they took public comment, for their first hearing, and I thought there were a lot more pros than there were against, which was good. So I think then Chris probably knows better than me. When's the next public hearing?
I was all day with Multnomah County.
Okay.
I didn't get.
So anyways, they'll have their second, maybe it's December, first week of December or something, their next hearing, and then we'll find out whether they approve us or not and what the conditions that they're proposing, we all feel I think we feel are workable for us. They're not really dictating anything. They're giving us like some guidelines to reach, like aspirational, like things to consider, but no mandates, like you must have 17 units per acre or something like that. I mean, just trying to reach really, they're trying to, I think, let our Sherwood West concept plan work itself.
Yeah.
So, which is what we want, because that's what our community got behind, and we didn't want to work with them imposing goals that our community hadn't. For 2 years, we worked on getting them to buy into this concept plan, so. Tuesday night, we approved the sergeants bargaining agreement, so our sergeants now are under their own union. So, we've had SPOA, which was our officers. We've had our non-representative staff, which is usually like our captains, our chiefs, admin, that type. So our sergeants kind of like floundered, like they didn't really fall under SPOA, but we followed some of SPOA, but then we followed some of the non-represented employee stuff. And so this is solidified now. They have their own plan, their own terms and policies and, that kind of stuff. So
How many do we have? Five?
yeah. So their own little union.
Yeah,
Who's the union president?
I think it's Ace, well, they all have to take a position.
That's true.
So, I think Ace loves the president now,
Yeah.
so.
So that wasn't really a heavy lift for council. That was a pretty easy thing for us to do to get them to know exactly where they fell in. So, talked about that. Did you all get a city email about the gift drive the city's doing? Did that come to the boards and commissions?
Yes.
I'm not sounding familiar.
It would have come from Tina, and I thought I saw all city users, which usually is
I
boards and
don't remember
commissions.
seeing it.
Okay. City council and city staff are doing a gift drive to help the share center, because if in the past, there's a group that was called Kids for Sake that did a gift drive, gift tag tree, that you'd go to Mud Puddles, pull a gift tag. Well, they ended up just like, I think last week, putting out their notice that they weren't able to do that this year. And Sherwood, most people don't think that we have a lot of families in need, and there are a lot of families in need. So quickly, the share center which is through the school district, put something together to accept donations, and they're having families in need make appointments to come shop for Christmas. So you're not having to pull a tag for a specific student or a specific need, but they're asking for shopping for ages of, elementary, middle school, high school, like gift cards, even for the older kids. And then the share center will have those for families to come in and Christmas shop for their kids. So if anybody was interested in donating towards that, they could drop off to City Hall. I'm sure they could drop off to the PD, because the PD will be collecting, and then it will all get to City Hall as well, so.
Send that to everybody, what Tina sent out.
Yeah, because I just looked and
Yeah, that's, I'm looking, I can't find, I must have got it from somebody else.
Someone just send that flyer.
Yeah, just send the flyer to them, yeah. And then you talked about the foundation and some of the things that the foundation done. Just tonight, we voted on approving some funds to buy, now I'm gonna get it wrong, things for their vests. What are they called? The ballistic plates?
Plates,
Yeah,
yeah.
stronger,
Rifle rated plates.
yeah,
'Cause
stronger rated plates.
Really all we ever wear is handgun rated stuff.
Shh, don't tell
And so the plates will just give the officers the ability to have front and back panels.
How much extra do they weigh?
Yeah, they aren't light, so it'll be optional. I mean, the ones we're looking at, you can actually just slide them in and wear them if you choose. Otherwise, you can just deploy them when you need them. So if you're going on a higher risk kind of call, you can just put them in and go. Or you can put them in panels and just flip them over your current vest. But they'll have a couple options to use them.
And we also approved to purchase 30 or 20 Can't remember how many, enough for every vehicle and one for here at the PD. Something I hadn't heard of, life backs, so.
It's for infants, it's like a suction thing. Yeah, it's a different name for a plunger, basically, it's for infants.
If they're choking or.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have them in our cars.
Is that
To your point earlier.
an issue?
AEDs, Narcan, these, yeah, we'll have all the tools. We're gonna be
Not a
EMP
common
firefighters
issue,
here.
but if it does become an issue and you don't have one, but you know.
Yeah. Want bigger cars soon?
You bring you're spot on about educating the public about the back of our cars and what they look like. You know, you go back 30 years when I started, it was nothing like it is now. I mean, it's like crazy. So I think it would be.
Do they have to like rumble through? What is that thing?
Well, I had the Thomas guide and a flashlight and that was about it. I didn't have a computer. I had OC spray, you know, but we didn't have AEDs and Narcan, any of this. I mean, that wasn't even thought of. So where we come, I think is awesome. So just being able to have these tools and being able to fund them even through the foundation is fantastic.
Are all of the cars equally equipped now?
Mhm.
Cause I remember years ago, there were some complaints that, well, this car has this and this one doesn't, and this one's got that.
Well, I shouldn't say they're all equal, because there's some tools that we just can't buy for, like the wrap, you know, the body wrap that we have for like a combative kind of person. We have a couple of them. So there's things that are always on the road, like 40 mil, less lethal. We don't have them for every car. The big heavy, I shouldn't say heavy, we're trying to get away from the heavy shields, but not every car has those, but they're on the road and they're deployable and available. But and then those cars that do have them, there is not an inch left for anything else. So that's, yeah.
And that is all I have. January we'll be doing new council liaison assignments again, like we do every January. So I will be putting in my pick to still stay at the police advisory board. We will see if the mayor honors that, but.
Are there any new boards? I know you're talking about TSC, but I also heard there's like a youth board starting. Is any of that official?
So we are actually having a work session. I think it's on December 3rd. It's one of the December meetings. To sort of talk more about the youth advisory board. So we did have one last school year, not this school year. We tried in partnership with the school district and it didn't exactly work out the way we wanted and what we thought as a city council we wanted to get out of that. So we're gonna have a work session to really dial in what is it we're wanting out of that youth advisory. I mean, I know I have what I think, but the YMCA has some interest in somehow partnering and the school district, but I still this time just this is just me speaking, want it to be a board of the city that we have control over. And I envision them learning about local government and learning about the departments in the city, but also having things that they want to bring forward that's important to them, to city council and projects they want to work on type thing, but each councilor has their own idea. So this will be a good brainstorming session, I think.
So I would, because of the work I do at Tiger.
We've been looking at all the surrounding youth advisory
Tiger
boards,
has, and
Hillsborough too.
the chamber today, Chamber of Government Affairs that I sit on for Tiger, had one of the deputy or assistant city managers come, and there's some big event in DC that usually a couple of counselors and maybe the mayor goes to.
National League of Cities, we actually have 4 students already signed up to go with
Okay,
this year.
so and that's.
We have 4 spots. We don't know what students are going,
Okay.
but because last year they filled up way too fast. So we jumped on it yesterday. They were, getting our spots. So yeah, this year we plan to send 4 students with us.
Okay, because that's what they were looking to the chamber for, because they've only been taking 2 and they have 3 officers in whatever entity that they work with, the city works with, and they would like to take all 3 officers.
Mhm.
And then hopefully in the future have more, but if you've already been, they have a youth council member on their council too.
Yeah. So yes, it's in the works.
Maya?
Yes, yes. I mean, I heard the youth thing and I was just thinking to myself, what if we considered having a youth on our board?
We actually have,
Yeah.
when our ordinance allows us to have a youth.
Yeah, it didn't work out so well. From recollect, because they had a number of other activities that they, and sometimes it just didn't occur to them to be here. Yeah.
We do have youth, we have youth on our library board, we have youth on our cultural arts commission, I mean, it's, you could.
Something to consider. Okay. Staff, and there was something else I was gonna speak to real quick. I forgot to bring something up my turn, so I apologize. So they found Grace. Grace was a young woman that was missing for, I think, about 40, how many hours? 48.
48.
Friday morning to Sunday morning, I think, or Saturday.
Yes. I was wondering if any of our tools or resources were used in, locating her.
Wasn't it Clackamas?
Oh, no, it's, Yamhill. Yamhill.
Red Hill County, I knew the county line.
Yamhill, I thought it was Sherwood, I thought it was rural Sherwood.
It's
Yamhill
outside the
County,
city, yeah, right, it was like right in the middle there, yeah, not that, no, I don't think we were even a part of it.
Okay.
Not that I was told anyways.
Was she okay? I just saw that she was found. Was she okay?
Yes. Yeah, she's a student here. But yeah, I don't think we used anything.
All right, no, concern for, no, so sidebar on that one. Staff reports. This will be good. Thank you for bringing that.
So what you have in front of you, I didn't do this. This was, so MHRT is a countywide team, so their lieutenant presented this to us at LEC. And for those that don't know what LEC is, it's where the chiefs and the sheriffs meet monthly, and we have presentations about county teams or whatever's going on, and it's just to get off things for us to get together and get through things, legislative things, or anything that comes up that we want to support or fight. I've been the chair this year, and Angie's been gracious enough to show up and do all of the minutes, so she's gonna be thankful that we have one meeting left. And I get to hand the baton off, but so I thought it was just, it's great timing to talk about what we're doing out there, what these teams do, how valuable they are for what's going on out there. And so you're gonna see some stats there. So MHRT has been around for quite some time. Washington County developed it 10 plus years ago. It's just been in the last few years that we formed our own team here in South City. So that's 12th and Sherwood and Tigard. And then we cover King City for them as needed. The way it is there's one clinician assigned to us, and then she rotates between Tigard, 12th and Sherwood on 2-week rotations. And we have an assigned officer that is with her. If you remember, Adam Kesey was that officer until he got promoted, and now it's Amy Lawrence. So, and then you actually in this, you see all the teams that are out there within the county. But what I really wanted to highlight is just the back page for us in South Cities, and you're welcome to obviously peruse all the other data. You know, South Cities just for, and in my quick math, just between the 3 cities, we responded to 450 BHIs, behavioral health incidences, what they're called. That's just specific for the team. That doesn't account for anything that patrol deals with on their own outside of the hours or the availability of this team. Probably the most important thing in my mind is if you see the use of force stat. Of those 320, we had 1 use of force. I don't know the extent of that, but that's a big deal because for years we've dealt with behavioral health issues and we had limited tools and they always wanted to fight, and we had to, you know, use either a lot of physical force, tasers. I mean, it got ugly. I mean, and we know across the nation that people have been killed as a result of these incidents. I mean, our neighbors, you know, just in downtown have been involved in a handful of those where that's occurred. So I really want to give kudos to where these teams have gone, how awesome it's been that, and I'm not saying that we're handing them off as a patrol officer, but we're bringing in the people that have the ability to work with them and address the issues and give them the resources they need right there on the spot most of the time versus us at a patrol level trying to figure out what's going on. And we know that a lot of times they're agitated just at the sight of the police, and that doesn't help. Nor do we have the tools to offer them. I mean, I go back to what we're already carrying that we hadn't carried, you know, the Narcan, the AEDs, all those, or Narcan and all the things that we have. And a lot of our officers are trained in CIT. And that's just a class for dealing with behavioral health issues, but it goes to where we're going and what we need. So there's been some discussions with the Tiger Chief and the 12 Chief about how do we staff even more, because what for our hours, we're typically 1 to 11 is what South Cities runs. We have nothing that is available in the morning hours. And we know, because we can see it by calls for service and even from some other data that when people get up, sometimes they're not doing well early in the morning. They haven't taken their meds or for whatever reason, we're having a lot of behavioral incidents in the morning hours as well. So trying to figure out a way where we can collectively staff more mental health resources for this. And so, as you know, that's more bodies and that's more money. But I go back to, if there's a job that we're doing, this is probably the best one I want to tout is that use of force, because behavioral health is not going away and it just continues to rise and calls for service for us. Matter of fact, I think our numbers in the nexus we have is extremely high, where we can have a behavioral health nexus, although it doesn't rise to the level of calling them in or they're not available. It's somebody that's in need or, you know, is having a crisis. So this is going to be part of the platform I want us to talk about, and I want us to build on as far as the services that we're going to provide out there and the importance of it. So you can see Washington County, and obviously it's driven by, you know, jurisdiction size. It's relative in its scale for, you know, but 72 for us is pretty good. I mean, it's not good, but it's, I mean, we're busy, we're utilizing them, you know, with Tiger and Fulton.
So when I look at this last page and I found that Alton person was injured, so they haven't had somebody out on the street.
Yes.
And I know that Adam got promoted and there was time before his replacement was up. But what's misleading, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong in this chart, is when any of the South cities or the units are deployed, they're covering all the cities. So it's not saying that Tiger has a lot more incidences. It's just that Tiger staffing covered most of those incidences, correct?
No, those would be within the cities.
Oh, okay, so
Yeah.
this is
Yeah,
in
so
the city.
even if Amy's up,
Yep, okay,
she would respond to Tigers, and that would be a Tiger incident.
okay, so that's.
Yeah,
okay.
so I think I get what you're saying there, but that's the way it's done.
Then
So
what's so special about Walton then, that they only had one?
What's so bad about Tiger that they had so many?
Well, it's a bigger city.
Bigger city, yeah.
we have done what?
From that last page.
On the last page,
Dalton only had one.
1 January.
But that's the only use of force in the entire thing.
No, that's,
It's a response.
Yeah. Mental health services received, they had none.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. Oh, I don't know
Did they do the
why.
PowerPoint?
Huh?
Did they do the
That's funny you say that, because I know that's not correct. I didn't even look at the little pie graph there. I was just looking at all the numbers.
Somebody's not reporting properly.
No, they
Give me the data.
no, they are, yeah,
So that's why I thought with the injured officer, that these were only when they had
Who took the call?
took the call. But if you're saying it's in the jurisdiction, then something's not right with the data.
I will, thank you for pointing that out, because we had this discussion about where it occurred. And I hadn't even looked at Walton's numbers there.
So, Chief, are these, do we know whether these calls all involve adults or just some of these involve children?
I do not know that. I'm sure we could mine it, but I think this was just kind of a overarching presentation.
I think it would be interesting to know how much of it involves children, because I think that that could be translated into, is there more that we could be doing in the schools or arming the SROs or, you know, school psychologists or, because I'm finding in my work, my line of work, it's not getting better, it's getting worse. Exponentially, almost, and it's just, I mean, I've got a client right now who runs away and calls me instead of the kiddo's parents, and then I have to call the police, and I'm the one who's adding to these statistics.
Yeah,
And I don't see it getting any better, so I think it would be really interesting to break out that data so that other people can know that there are problems here with our youth that we need to be finding a way to address better before they get to be these adults who need this kind of help.
yeah, yeah, I'll see what they have. I'm sure I probably could get access to this data. I'll find out. You're right. I mean, none of this captures what I know has occurred here in the city locally with juveniles.
Yeah.
But it's because it usually is pretty quick and evolving that there's no time. It's just addressed and dealt with.
Without calling the team.
Yeah, yeah. And or they're not available, to my point, they're not available in the morning hours. I mean, they're not coming on until 1. Washington County actually is available in the morning, but, and just to be clear, they're available to us if we need them, but, you know, generally everybody's hopping, on that team quite a bit. So, cause Washington County is 8 to 6, Beaverton's, yeah, Washington County is the only one that's on in the mornings.
When you say, you're talking like 8 a.m.
8 a.m.,
or like middle of the night.
No, 8 to 6, and then 8 to 6 is their other shift, and then they have an 11:30 to 9:30 shift. But everybody else is like Hillsboro's running 1 to 11. Us, Tigard, yeah, we're all running those afternoon, evening hours, so. There again, it's, you know, if we could figure out a way where we have availability in the South cities to cover it.
I mean, is that, oh, sorry.
Real quick, whose payroll is the clinician on that we share? Do we just split it in thirds with the
Yep.
other?
Yeah, so we, it's LifeWorks is who supplies the clinician. And so that's, we pay into that for her. And yeah, and I mean, I think it's 120,000 a year. So split through her and, we don't, Tigard, I think pays, it's all broke down again by side. So, I mean, we pay the smallest part of it. But we're right up there with 12 and then calls. So,
I know in discussions, doing the work I do at Tigard, Chief has been talking about wanting two
clinicians.
two officers, or basically two teams in his town.
Yeah.
And when I think, you know, just because of the call, they've got 217 in Washington Square and 99 going through their town a lot longer than they do in Sherwood. There's a lot of extra stuff going on.
Yeah, they provide a lot of extra services for people, so and they have the transit center.
Transit center.
Which also it gives people the ability to get in there, so, yeah, undoubtedly, that need is there. I don't think we see a lot of people get down into Sherwood from either Tiger or Tualatin, but on occasion. But
We
yeah.
did also, just do another partnership with Tiger, Tualatin, Sherwood, through Washington County, through the supportive housing dollars.
Mhm.
That we are now, there's a dedicated, homelessness, person that we're all splitting. Tiger gets them 50% of the time, and then Tualatin and Sherwood, the other 50% to help. That's another avenue, you know, there's some of those same people with the mental health problems are probably experiencing houselessness and so.
So is that person staffed at, located at Tiger?
Yeah.
I think I met her.
Yeah, I think it just started.
Yeah,
I
just-
haven't met her yet.
Just, yeah, yeah, Beaverton or the county, maybe Beaverton, yeah.
So. Yeah, boy, wrap this up real quick. Like I said, I'm gonna check on those numbers, but, you know, I like the foundation and the building block here just to kind of tell our story and where we're going and support some of our needs out there for what we're doing, because, this in my mind is a big win for us when we're taking use of force out of this. And it's, the use of force is gone and the resources are now taking its place. And I like to tell that story. That's a lot better than it used to be, you know?
I think this is a huge, I mean, you wanna talk about making those connections between the police and your community. I think this is a huge thing.
Yeah.
Because there's that you can see, and there's that you never see.
Mhm.
And even when people try to talk about it and ask for help, they're not believed because it's not being seen. So I think that having this presence and having this resource is gonna be extremely helpful,
Mhm.
for communities.
And how you present it and profile it is gonna be important and challenging.
It's why I need all of you and your big brains to help me, so.
How do you produce the Crimey Chronicles? Do you have your own production in?
Yep.
I can't give away with the magic behind the curtain. Yes, it is one individual with the help on occasion from another, and it's an officer that does it all. I mean, he's.
He's not allowed to leave.
I know,
He's young.
But he's still not allowed to leave. He can't go.
yeah, he felt a lot of pressure to like crank out those Crime Chronicles, and I'm like, you don't have to you don't have to put them out every week, you know, you can make people wait.
I think they can wait, like, I think they're more special, like,
Yeah.
next month,
ones.
you know, yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah, so we're always trying to tweak it a little. I think we're gonna make them a little longer. So that then we don't have to he doesn't feel like he has to try and get it out there and. Yeah, but to your point, he's one person, then another officer helps him on occasion, with some of the editing. But yeah, it's literally could be a full-time job.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, yeah, that's just more money from the budget.
Yeah. Yeah, well, thankfully, he does a great job
That's
of that and balancing his workload, so. All right. Well, I'm sorry, real quick, because I got like a couple minutes, just quick updates. We're right in the process of hiring. I think I mentioned. No, maybe I mentioned the foundation. Did I say that we have two that are, I know are retiring in 2025? That I know of, and Miss B is up and certified with her handler, so she's out on the road. I think it's just been the last month, so I don't think that she was certified last time. And then obviously we talked about the drones, so we have 3 people that are operating the drones and we're deploying them quite often. I told the foundation that I'm in the middle of trying to get my license. There's a lot of lot of work for that thing. I'm like, shoot, Christmas. The worst part about it is I go through all the lessons and then I don't do it for a couple weeks because I just don't have time and then I've forgotten everything I've learned. So it's like, geez. It's like,
You'll really remember that, because you gotta go, you're going.
I
through it
know,
again.
Groundhog Day. I'm like, oh. Yeah, we're deploying those often and, we're getting some good training in with Tiger, then Qualitan, and then Gresham as well as helping us. If you're not familiar with Gresham, they're kind of the leading agency around with them. They've done a lot of good things. They already deploy from their department. They'll deploy to calls, so that they can get, bird's eye view of what's going on and, you know, be able to slow officers down if they need to on calls and or, you know, a crash that comes out as potential injury crash and you can see clearly it's not. So they're getting safety, so we don't have to rush there. Have some progress, things like that, where, you know, you can catch a vehicle leaving. They found a lot of great success with this, so that's the future, hopefully, or we'll get. So maybe I'll just sit there and deploy the drone from my office. You know, I still gotta feel like I'm in the game, you know?
Literally.
Yeah. All right, that's all I got.
This has been one of our longest meetings in a while, so I thank you all for hanging in there.
Jump to make up for this.
I have a motion to adjourn and seconded. This meeting is hereby adjourned. Thank you all for your service this evening. Happy Thanksgiving. Welcome back, Mike. Welcome back.
Bye, Amanda.
Thank you, Amanda. Bye, Amanda.